Unofficial, it doesn't have a home. Here's your host from In Heights Sites, Nathan Heights. And from State of the Steelers, Daniel J. Here we go.
What's going on, everybody? Thank you all for being here on my channel, or if you're coming from Daniel's channel, State of the Steelers. We appreciate you guys being here, being in the chat, your guys' support for another week, guys, of Steeler discussion, another week of coming off of a Steelers win. And we'll discuss about the game. We'll probably start there, Daniel. But good to be back here on a Wednesday night. Daniel, how you feeling up to this point, man? How are you doing? How you feeling after Sunday? And we'll get into everything.
You know, remember back when it was, I think it was 2020, it was a COVID year, and the Steelers started off 11-0, but it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
You know, that's kind of where I'm feeling right now.
It's fair.
You know, watching this last game against the Denver Broncos, you know, the first half, I thought that the Steelers played very well and excellent. You know, I think that the elevation component ended up being a bigger deal than probably what was expected. You know, they were wearing black. I think it was a warmer Sunday, and given the fact of their elevation,
yeah,
the air, it sounded like they got tired by the end of the game, but it really showed on both sides of the ball. But, you know, that first half against the Broncos was pretty nice. And then, you know, all of a sudden, they just kind of fell off.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. I kind of feel that same way, to be honest. You just kind of feel like there's just more to be desired at the end of the day. And we all know wins is the main thing that matters 100%. I mean, I think we all would rather be where we're at and be 2-0 than probably playing better and be 0-2. Do you agree?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, there are teams right now in the AFC North that are 0-2 that would wish they were in our position.
Right, 100%. So we'll start off with the Broncos game, guys. Real quick, just seeing everybody. Mark, what's up, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well, brother. Glad to see things going well on your channel, man. So thanks for being here, brother. Concepts need a film review. Yeah, Daniel, Concepts wants a film review, man. Comparing Broderick Jones holds to what happens to TJ and Alex Highsmith. Are you down to do that?
I can do something for that. I mean, it don't take much of a film review to see how bad it is, the difference.
Yeah, no,
100%. You know,
yeah, 100%.
Those calls were just atrocious.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking, dude, because 2-0. That's what I mean, man. You know, even through some of the things that I'm sure we all would like to see, we're still 2-0 at the end of the day, man. So that's what matters at the end of the day. Doing enough to win. We'll talk more about it. Daniel, it's kind of heartbreaking with the first half, kind of what you said about Tommy. What's up, man? Thanks for being here. John, thanks for being here, man. Thank you, guys. The first half against Denver looked really well. I thought the offense moved the ball well. It's just kind of heartbreaking, some of those big plays getting called back, man. And those are just some big plays that have just been so minimal the last few years. And it just sucks when they happen and you just can't bounce off of it. And I will say, even though they got brought back, it's why I feel like that people just shouldn't look at Justin Fields' stat line. Does that make sense? And the second half of the game honestly did frustrate me, because the fact that Justin Fields had 101 passing yards the first half, should have had more if the penalties weren't there, and probably could have had a couple touchdowns by halftime. Ended with one, didn't turn the ball over, about 40 rushing yards or so around there. Or maybe a little less. I'd have to double check. But the fact that he only had 17 passing yards the second half, that bothers me. That bothers me a lot. It bothers me a lot that they went full conservative in the second half. I don't like that. I understand you're playing Bo Nix. I understand that you're a defensive head coach and you believe in your defense to bail you out more times than not. I get it. That's fine. If your philosophy is to win by defense, which is what they want, okay. But in this type of league nowadays, you're going to need to score points. And we've all been saying it for years. We've been saying it the last 3-4 seasons. So it's frustrating. I just hate the conservative approach. I hate the conservative mindset. And there's moments and times where playing conservative and safe makes sense and is the right thing to do. But when you're only up 13-3 or whatever it is in the second half against Denver, I'm sorry. You should not be going conservative. You should continue what you were doing in the first half, trusting Justin Fields a little bit. I understand turnovers have been a kryptonite for his career. I get it. But at the same time, you got to trust the guy who's your quarterback. You look at what he was doing in the first half. He was making some really nice throws. And if you look at his passing chart, it definitely looked a little bit better than the previous week. It seemed like they let him attack the middle a little bit more. But I'm just tired of the conservative game planning, man. I'm tired of it.
Well, I agree with you to a certain extent. And I guess what the Pittsburgh Steelers were looking at in this situation was more of, all right, Bo Nix is not going to do anything against this defense.
Yeah.
The only way possible that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to lose is if they flip the field somehow with a turnover, throw a pick six, something of that nature. And so I get what their angle at it, but their angle at it is as if they're playing a backup quarterback. And I think that that's been 2 weeks in a row where their mindset is that Justin Fields, number 2, is the backup quarterback.
Sure.
He is not going to be your starter. He's not when Russ is healthy. That tells me Russ is coming back in.
Yeah.
They trust him to a certain degree.
Yeah.
In the first half, it was all good and dandy to spread the ball around, let him go a little bit. You had the entire second half to recover if need be. And so second half, I get why they would do it. But to me, it just kind of shows me if they don't see him yet as the number 1 guy.
Yeah.
And, I think that he's going to have an opportunity to play this week against the Los Angeles Chargers. He's going to be the starting quarterback.
Right.
Tomlin came out on his press conference, pretty much said it again. Russ is limited participant, and until or when is that changes, that's when they'll decide. And when that changes, as far as his limited participation, is also a deciding factor. Meaning that if he becomes a full participant on Friday or Saturday, he's probably not going to be the number 1 guy, regardless of anything, because of a lack of participation. And so they're preparing with Justin Fields. I think this might be the game where he needs to open it up if he wants a real opportunity to hold this, this position here. And he's going to have to do it early. He's going to have to strike early and often, and limit the turnover worthy plays. I understand, and I think this is why one of the other reasons why they're treating him as a backup. I know it may not have been his fault this time or that time. It may have been, Frazier's fault a couple times snapping the ball early or whatever. But for whatever reason, in every game thus far, and this goes back to the preseason, a fumble was happened with him in control of the ball, or at least supposed to be in control of the ball. That's a pattern. And, he is somebody who has had that issue going back previous years. So I think that might be something he needs to probably take care of the ball a lot better as the leader of the offense in this game if he really wants. And that's saying with him not even turning over the ball yet. But these fumbles and these turnover-worthy plays like that, those need to come to a stop if he really wants to have an opportunity as QB1.
Yeah, you make a great point. I'm honestly on the same board as you. I think I'm just tired of the conservativeness the last 3 years.
Yeah, no,
I'm ready just to start seeing just some balance, man. I really am. But I understand. I'm kind of on that frame too of understanding and believe that's probably the mind frame. Malvo, what's up, man? Thanks for coming in. I mean, he kind of says the same thing, just talking about that he thinks too that it's more of the view of Fields is still QB2 right now. They're still just wanting to be careful, be a little wary of things, and the Steelers still want Russ to at least get a shot. But yeah, so going off of that, yeah, good to see you, man. Thanks for being in. It's been a little while. Mark says conservative flags got in the way. They definitely did get in the way. I just like the way the offense was playing, man. I just really wanted to see that continue into the second half, and maybe just have a good win. You know what I mean? Like, I can't remember the last time the Steelers really had a good dominating win that made you feel good. And I feel like that even though Denver, like we know, isn't a very good team, and like they're in a place where they're really young as well and kind of rebuilding. But like those are the type of teams, man, that like you can have a really good win over and like feel good about, because that's like how you should probably win. Um, it's just been a while since we've had that. But going off of uh, the game against Denver, looking at Broderick Jones, Daniel, Tomlin was rotating Broderick Jones and Troy Fontanu to start the game, rotating them at right tackle. He said his explanation was that he thought that he didn't want there to be like just coming in just full rust. He wanted to kind of ease Troy in a little bit, didn't want to keep Broderick on the bench either, and that was kind of his solution to doing that. Well, obviously Broderick Jones got a couple bad penalties that really brought them back off of big plays, and Troy started the whole game, and Troy actually played a really good game. He had 29 what was it? What was the stat? I know he didn't allow any pressures, he didn't allow any sacks.
I think he had lost his battle with the edge one time out of all the snaps that he had.
Yeah.
You know, I agree with you on everything that you're saying there, and especially about the conservative stuff. Yeah, it sucks, but like I said, I think this is where we're going to be at until Russ comes in. And when it comes to last week's game with Broderick Jones and swapping them back and forth, I didn't like that idea before the game. I didn't like it during the game. According to Broderick, apparently Broderick Jones didn't like it either.
Yeah, that's what you said. Yeah, you said he didn't. He'd rather just not like play.
Right. And, his attitude has been something that's been in question as well. Apparently, there's been some reports going all the way back to training camp that, the Steelers have been questioning, his effort and things of that nature. And so, yeah, I think he needs to chill out. I think he needs to sit down for a little bit. I think that right arm that's all taped up and bundled up all the way to the thumb, it's bothering him. You can't be on the right side with a right arm that you can't really punch with.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big component as to why he's probably, not playing so well. And he's, and you're not playing so well because of an injury. Sometimes you got to cheat and sometimes you get caught. Now, I do think that those flags against him for the holding were pretty ticky-tacky, especially when you see what's going on with TJ Watt on the other side defensively and how they're holding him. Obviously, it's one-sided there. But more so when it came to personnel, my biggest critique and my biggest misunderstanding, or maybe not even that, but just like scratching my head, was the usage of the players. Now I know that the elevation was a thing and fatigue was really starting to be a situation, and I think that's one of the things that Tomlin stated is why he wanted to rotate Broderick in with Troy. But like George Pickens' snap count, I don't think he even got the most snaps at the wide receiver position or something like that. It was crazy. And then you had Cordell Patterson out there again when you have a healthy Jalen Warren and you have a healthy Najee Harris. That didn't make any sense. And then the snap counts or the snap counts between some of the tight ends that were out there. And when you have a Pat Freiermuth that you just paid a lot, these were some of the critiques of Arthur Smith last season and for the last couple of years when he came to the Atlanta Falcons and how he used his personnel with those stars. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit concerned about that because I'm starting to see that here. And I think it is resulting in, when you don't have the best players on the field, it's not going to be the best results. I mean, you might get good results, but they're not going to be the best results. So I'm concerned about it. What do you think about the personnel usage from Arthur Smith thus far?
Well, I'm afraid that it's because with what he likes to do, the word predictable has kind of been thrown around the last few years. And I'm not saying that his would be predictable necessarily, but a lot of times when you have those two tight ends out there, I mean, what's happening? You're probably looking at some play action bootleg around there, right? You're probably looking at maybe run to the outside or something like that. I'm with you. I don't like the Cordell Patterson usage over Jalen Warren. I don't like now, this isn't really his fault, but I will say I think that they've done a lot better job of George Pickens' usage. George Pickens' usage the last 2 games, if you look at his route tree, it's night and day compared to last year. It's night and day. He's not running these little 5-yard out routes. He's not running these little sideline out. If you look at his route tree the last 2 games, it's night and day. It's not even comparable. I'm completely on board of the tight end usage. It was nice to see Darnell Washington be used in the red zone. About time. Don't know why he wasn't touched last year. So it was good to see that. Pat Freiermuth had a few catches. Obviously, his usage needs to be there. Until, for me, outside of how we see some of the running back rotation and a little bit of some of the play action bootlegs that I feel like are getting a little bit, too much. I need to see him get another wide receiver, dude. Van Jefferson's not cutting it. He's not. He's not. He's a 4 or 5. Roman Wilson will be back. We'll see maybe if he adds a little bit of spice. But we're going to see probably outside of Arthur Smith loving his tight end sets. You saw that in Tennessee. You saw that in Atlanta. I want to see a wide receiver in there. And I feel like that if you can get another decent wide receiver in there, which it is possible to do, by the way, there's a plethora of names I'm sure they can make a phone call for. To me, 2 weeks in, and like I said, really only Pickens as your really ultimate passing weapon outside of maybe a little bit of Pat, it's incomplete to me. And I will say, one thing I will say about the offense right now is that even though they've only scored 1 touchdown the first 2 games and haven't put up like a lot of points yet, their structure, there's a plan each week. And I think just by looking back at the games, looking back at plays that have been called and what they're doing on the field these first 2 weeks, last year, there was none of that. There was no structure last year. There was no usage of this guy or this guy or this guy and what you're trying to do. There at least actually is a plan week in and week out. You can even look at terms of what they tried to do last week, why they didn't target the middle, apparently, because they respected Jesse Bates. They were in, and look what he did Monday night. They respected Jesse Bates. They respected some of that Falcons secondary there. They were afraid of that. That's coaching. Matt Canada didn't offer any of that. I'm sorry, he didn't. With Arthur Smith, what you saw in Tennessee, what you saw in Atlanta, even as a head coach, it's a different role than just strictly being an offensive coordinator, by the way. And what he's doing now, he does have structure to his offense. Is it everybody's cup of tea? No, it's not. And it's not going to work for everybody. And there's going to be a lot of Steelers fans that like what after the season's over, there's going to be a lot of Steelers fans that liked what he did this year. And there's going to be a lot of Steelers fans that, again, it might not be their cup of tea with the way his offenses ran.
Hey, who was the last offensive coordinator the Steelers fans liked?
The last one that they liked?
While he was the coach. I need to add that because I think a lot of people like Todd Haley after the fact.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, after looking back, I think they probably appreciated it.
Yeah, probably Bruce Arians.
Yeah, like in terms of Arthur Smith, it's incomplete. Got to see how the year goes. But I at least appreciate that there's a plan that goes on. There's game planning that going on. With Matt Canada, it was rinse repeat. It was rinse repeat, watching the same thing every single week. So we'll see how these next few weeks go. Like I said, I want to see a wide receiver added. I can list a plethora of names. I don't even think they don't even need a star. They just need somebody that's reliable.
John Mechie.
Yeah, sure. Call the Texans. They're loaded there. Call the Panthers about Adam Thielen. Bring back Deontay Johnson. I don't know. Do something.
I don't know about anybody from Carolina. But, again, though, when it comes to Arthur Smith's offense, I think this is an offense that I don't think we're going to see exactly what it is until we see Russ out there. I think that's when they're going to open it up.
Yeah, that's fair. But when's that going to be?
Well,
what's the plan?
So according to Steel Curtain Network, man, I almost called them their old name. Steel Curtain Network, for those that don't know, I am a part of Steel Curtain Network, which is Fans First Sports Network. I come out with Shannon White on Mondays on an episode called The Hangover. I have my own audio-only podcast that airs out Saturday morning. Wherever you find your podcast, just search up Steel Curtain Network or State of the Steelers. And you usually find that content where I'll be previewing the game, etc. And so within our network there, it's still Curtain Network. The fellas there, we have a source. And this person is somebody close to the organization, maybe perhaps in the organization, who tells us some things about the direction that the Steelers want to go or don't go and things like that. Just kind of, honestly, I don't know why. To be honest with you, I don't really trust it because of
Sure.
it's usually information that they want out. It's probably not the right information if they're putting it out there. So
Yeah.
I tend to stand back, but there has been a lot of stuff that has come out of it that was accurate. And one of it being that about 2 weeks ago, right around the Atlanta game, our source told us that Justin Fields was going to have all the way up into the Chargers game. They were going to give Russ that time to heal. I think that's how long it was going to be until he was going to be a full participant and be an actual potential player. And as we've seen, that sort of came to fruition here. That was stuff that they put out there a few weeks ago. You can go check out their audio podcast and also their YouTube. That's their source podcast that we have. And that's the information that they put out then. And it came out to be true. Okay. So I think that maybe perhaps next week in Indianapolis, that might be the time when they unleash Russ and maybe a little bit of the offense. I'm not sure how much they're going to throw it out there for him. He didn't play a lot of training camp. He didn't play very much in the preseason.
So do you think this calf problem is just a little, it's not quite as serious?
Well, so I was listening to Al Saunders. I believe it was Al Saunders. And he was saying that he saw Russell Wilson in the spring. And this was against Atlanta after the Atlanta game. He said that he saw him do the warm-ups and stuff. He was not the same. Mm-hmm. Like the mobility was not there. A shadow of what he was. And so when you've seen this offensive line and how many rookies are out there and the way it's made up, there's going to be some growing pains. And when we saw Justin Fields get out of some pretty crazy situations, there was one situation where the edge guy came right around the corner unblocked, and Justin was able to get around and get a first down and just outrun him. Those are things that Russell Wilson may not even be able to do 100% healthy. And so maybe perhaps this could be a little like side plan or a blessing in disguise, so to speak. Like we'll get Justin, who can protect himself a little bit better because of his mobility, a chance, let the offense sit in, and then we'll bring in Russ, whom is a little bit older, probably can't get hit as much as Justin can. And maybe perhaps at that point they'll be able to, broaden it out and get going. Because at the end of the day, this schedule really isn't that difficult in the first half of it. It's the second half that there's a big worry.
Well, that's why I said, especially there's a lot of new with them right now. And that's why I said that it's probably better off their schedule starts out this way.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting. So if Fields plays well and they win, he's probably going to start next week.
I don't know. I think that's going to be a pretty big debate, dude.
Like if he what I mean by play well, not that what he's like past what he's done so far.
I mean,
like there's no way you pull him.
Right. I mean, if he goes out there and just lights it up, puts up 300 plus yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnovers whatsoever, I think you really have to think about that. Do you really want to mess up, any potential connection or chemistry that he's already made with George?
Right.
And the offense. So it'd have to be something like that. If it's another game where Boz is outscoring anybody else on the offense, then you probably need to, take a seat back on that and really open it up once you get Russell Wilson in there.
Yeah.
Because, I think that at the end of the day, the Steelers really or Mike Tomlin takes into consideration of what has been done in stadiums. Now, he takes more consideration about what's been done in his stadium. However, Justin Fields has 2 games under his belt, and regardless of the reason, he's only put up 1 touchdown. Now, I understand there's, reps and things of that nature. It's kind of like with Broderick. I understand he got some penalties on 6 plays that he was in, but Troy had the rest of the game and not 1 penalty. Right. And so regardless if they were treating it one way or another, he got the penalties. He ended up, getting to the bench. Same thing with Justin. Every game thus far, the ball has ended up on the ground. fumble. And that goes back to preseason, and that's been an issue and a thing for him going back to Chicago. And so until that changes, and he shows that he can protect the ball, because Russell Wilson has shown he can protect the ball,
Yeah.
and be explosive and expand. I mean, that 26 touchdowns and not 8 interceptions last year.
Yeah.
Steelers would have dreamed for that.
Yeah.
And so he can protect the ball. He doesn't turn it over. He may hold on to it. He might get a sack. But at the end of the day, when you have a defense as strong as the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, as long as they don't make a mistake and shoot themselves in the foot and give them like an easy, flip the field at the 20-yard line or something like that, or give them a pick six, they're going to probably be in contention in most games.
If Russ takes sacks, which we know has been a problem his whole career, what's the difference? I mean, Fields does as well. Fields takes sacks all the time.
So much, right. What I'm saying is it's turnovers versus sacks.
No. I'm not against what you're saying. I'm saying that I agree with what you're saying. I'm saying that terms of that aspect, it really wouldn't be much of a difference. So I mean the sack aspect. So with Russ and everything,
yeah,
I agree completely. So if they do put Russ in there, that's what I'm saying. What's the difference if the sacks is the only issue?
Yeah, well,
in terms of the turnover ratio, right, and probably just being more fluid in your reads and things like that. So,
well, I think that you look at also the touchdown production and the good drives. Are there going to be some drives that end up getting shut down because he gets sacked or he takes a sack? Absolutely. But will he be able to overcome those? Does he have the resume that says that he's going to be able to overcome those things? And he does. I mean, this guy, if he ends up doing well, is a walking gold jacket. At the end of the day, he has to be really productive and has to do very well to do that. And that's a huge that's a huge motivator for himself, because this is already his third team. If he goes somewhere else, now you're becoming a journeyman. I don't know how many journeymen there are in Canton. So
Kurt Warner, maybe.
Yeah, but how many teams was he on? That was 3 also.
Yeah, Rams, Giants, Cardinals.
Yeah, so you hit 4.
Yeah.
That's a different story.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
No, I hear you, man. I agree. I thought going into the season, the best scenario was probably for Fields just to sit a little bit and develop and work out those quirks in his game that have kind of held him back and learn from Russ. Obviously, that's not the case with Russ's injury. I just really have kind of wanted to see both guys play.
Mm-hmm. I do
if
too.
That makes sense, because I think Field, I think that most people agree there's a lot of things to like about Fields. We can obviously talk about the negative things and the things that have held his game back. Evie Warrior, what's the big news? The big news is Daniel lost me in fantasy. That's the big news. So.
No, actually, there is some good news that came out of today. We'll talk.
We'll talk about it, Warrior. We'll talk about it. Stay tuned. But yeah, I truly thought that was probably what the Steelers were thinking, and probably what made the most sense for most people. I know even there were a lot of people talk about how Fields should start the season, stuff like that. I like both guys in terms of our situation. Is Daniel 0-2? Yeah, he is right now, but it's all right, Daniel. I mean, dude, there's still 12 games left, bro. There's still 12 games left.
It's all luck, man,
There's still 12 games, brother. So just keep grinding, bro.
Yeah. I feel like the Ravens right now.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, and Z was at the Ravens game, guys, so he got to see them lose in person.
Nice.
He got to see him lose in person. So, yeah. But Ravens could go 0-5 for all we know. They got the Cowboys, Bills, and Bengals coming up. So, but yeah. So anyway, really back on topic of things. Depending if when Russ would come in, I think really the time it maybe would cause issues is if Fields is just playing really, really well, if that makes sense. And that would cause a divide if they would do that, which I feel like they wouldn't. But even if Russ does come in at some point and, Fields may be doing okay, just some poor stretches, some good things like that, just kind of your typical, right? The things that you like about him and then the things that have kind of been there, blah, blah, blah. I don't think it would be a death sentence for Justin Fields, if that makes sense. If they decide to pull Fields out and he's, depending when that would be, but they would have a winning record, I don't think it's a death sentence for the guy. I think that it would just be, okay, he's just going to sit for a little bit. He can work on his craft. He can learn, develop. I think that's a big thing for young quarterbacks. Fields is only 25. He has started 3 seasons in the league. So he has the resume in a way, but I don't think it'd be a death sentence for him in the way that he won't be like the future of the team, if that makes sense. Like, I think that there's a possibility out there that he could be, and there's a possibility out there he could not be. But I like a lot of aspects of his game. But if they would decide to pull him, I mean, that's okay too, because I still want to see Russell Wilson in this offense. I think this is probably an offense a little bit more catered to him and kind of what they've set up and everything. But overall, I think that both guys are capable. I think both guys can bring more productivity offensively than what they've had in the last few years. I think really just the important thing is that you can at least get something out of either of these guys to lead you into next year.
Yeah.
Rather than like both guys, like it's just like, okay, like then you have no plan at quarterback. If that makes sense.
Yes, sir.
So, but yeah, going off the Broncos game, guys. We're hitting half an hour here. Let's start kind of going into the Chargers game this week.
So going into the Chargers game and the news that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, here you go. Here's the big news, everybody.
One, I think that the Chargers might be out of two players that could be huge contributors. I mean, maybe not out completely, but they're not going to be their normal selves. And that's going to be on the defensive side. You're looking at Bosa. He's been limited. He only had 14 snaps last week with a back injury. He's probably going to be on another snap count. He came out and said he wasn't, but it looks like, with a back injury that only limits you to 14 snaps. It sounds like they're really going to nurse that. And you're going up against the Steelers. The offense that is going to want to run the ball, and they got some big, they got a big back there with Najee Harris. So, I think that's going to bode well for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the other guy that might be, maybe not even be on the field, who's been a DNP, is going to be Justin Herbert for the offensive side. He has not been a participant for the quarterback position. He has an ankle injury, which when you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and their rush, let's just say he even plays this week. Man, he's going to be a statue back there. He's going to be limited when it comes to his mobility. And, the Steelers are pretty rough. TJ Watt coming at him. I think he's going to feel him early and often. I think that these two teams are already conservative. If Justin Herbert is limited and or even doesn't play, expect to see like a 12-6 game.
You talk about a sleep fest.
Probably.
I might just put my pajamas back on at that point if we see a game like that. This is the week, ladies and gentlemen. You're playing the Chargers. They're 2-0 as well, right? They've put together their last two games. They have a healthy team right now. They've put together competent offense. They don't have any star comes off the paper in their offense, but they've had their offensive line's played pretty well. Herbert's banged up, so obviously that's a big factor. J.K. Dobbins has been great the first 2 weeks. Quentin Johnson had a really good game last week. But if the Steelers win 12-6, okay, great, 3-0. But you know what? Like I said, I'm going back to bed. I'm going back to bed at that point. There is zero reason to wake up for that game. This is the week. If this is what it's going to be, if it's true that this is going to be it for Justin Fields, that this is the big game right here in terms of him showing more what he can do, then you better open it up. You better open up that freaking playbook, dude. Because if you're going to limit him and play soft and conservative, then what the hell's the point?
You know what?
You might as well open it up for him. Let him try to make some plays. Do a little bit more in the second half if you have a lead. I don't want to see 17 passing yards in the second half. I'm sorry, I don't.
You know what Vegas has this game as for total points?
What is it? I'm gonna guess real quick. Over under. I'm gonna say it is set at I'm gonna say 32.5.
I think it was 35 last time I saw it.
Okay, 35. There you go, 35.
Last week, the game was at 36.
Bet the under. Bet the freaking under. Bet the under.
That's what I'm saying.
What a freaking yawn fest. If it's 12-6, great. We're 3-0. I'll be happy about it. If it's 12-6, though, I'm also going to be pissed off because who wants to watch that? I truly think Steeler fans are fed up with the freaking 13 points a game. I really am. Even if you're winning, seriously, you're winning, great. But who is sitting there enjoying a freaking punt fest? Who's enjoying that? Who is enjoying that? I'm not. Sports is entertainment nowadays, guys. This isn't what it used to be anymore. It's all entertainment now. All entertainment. I don't want to see a punt fest. The NFL has made this an offensive league. I want to see some points. I want to see a quarterback that I think Fields is capable. I think he's more than capable. I think he's got a pretty strong arm. I want to see the playbook opened. I want to see you trust him a little bit more. I don't want to see 17 passing yards in the second half. Yeah, why am I getting tight, Z?
No, I get you.
Enjoy the bottom, Z. Enjoy the bottom. That's all I'll say. And I agree. Like, but I don't want to see a defensive game every single week, dude. I don't want to see 12-6 every week. I don't want to see it. There's some games that call for it. There's some times where it's refreshing to watch a defensive game. I'm not saying that I want to see a shootout. I'm not saying I want to see 40-35 and no defense. I appreciate defense. But I don't want to see 12-6 anymore, dude. We've been seeing it the last 3 years. I don't want to see it. I'm tired of it.
I agree with you. I'm hoping they open it up, but this defense for the Los Angeles Chargers are no joke. I mean, they did play, the Carolina Panthers, and the Steelers played the Denver Broncos. So we're talking about two offenses and the opponent teams that are probably the worst in the league. But this is going to be probably also the first real test for the defense, and first real test for this team, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think probably will.
Atlanta, what they did this past week.
The Falcons, but like with them, that's their first game too. Like they're brand new.
Yeah.
So, you kind of take that with a little bit,
Yeah, for sure. And so this is going to be a good test to see where the Pittsburgh Steelers are. I think they're 1.5 point favorites.
Yeah, it would be. Game. Like obviously going 3-0 is humongous. For sure, especially the early part of their season. If you can take advantage of more of those games, excuse me, than not. But I mean, guys, let's be honest. Okay. Do we really want to see Corliss Waitman out there? Do we want to really see that? Do we want to see Corliss Waitman out there more than 3 times?
Right. But you know what Tomlin would say to all this, right?
Oh, I know what he would say. I know what he would say. I hear it every week.
We do not care.
Yeah, I know what he'd say. I mean, listen, Michael, I'm on the same page. I appreciate you winning. That's what it's about at the end of the day. But we need to score points.
Yeah.
We need to score points.
And again, I think that if this continues with Russ on the field, like let's just say they go 12-6, right? That ends up happening against the Colts. Maybe Russ is full participant. They go ahead and throw him in the lineup. And if that game's also like 18-6 or 18-9 or something crazy like that, then I'm going to be really, really upset, because then it's like, all right, this isn't just treating Justin Fields as a backup. This is what the offense is. And if this is what the offense is, might as well have kept it the way it was last year at the end of the year, and maybe even have kept Mason Rudolph for that matter of fact. And I think the Steelers may have been in a better situation, especially offensively. I think, they need to open it up and they need to show more, because this is something that is.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Everybody, listen. Between Fields and Russ, I think we all can agree they're probably better than what we've had the last 3 years. I think we can all agree they're more capable than what we've had. But if we're going to see the same conservative mindset, the numbers are going to be similar.
Yeah,
they are. They're going to be similar. The points per game, the passing yards, the touchdowns, it's all going to be similar. So then ultimately that goes back to, okay, so if we've had 5 different quarterbacks in there between the last 3 years, then ultimately what's the common denominator? If their numbers are similar and the offensive numbers are similar, even with a new play caller, what's the common denominator? It's probably the head coach, right? What do you think? Well, that's the way the head coach wants. I mean, I don't know. Maybe he's hindering Arthur Smith a little bit. Maybe he's telling him to tone it down.
I mean, it's possible, and I wouldn't put it past.
I mean, I've heard Mike Tomlin's a freaking nitpicker, dude.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tomlin went up to Arthur Smith and said, "Hey,
too much control.
The only way the Broncos are going to win this game is if we give them the game. Don't give them the game. I don't care if we punt.
Right, exactly. I guarantee that's the mindset.
Ended up happening.
And you know what? Excuse me. It's not bad to ever have that mindset. It's not. There's certain situations that are okay to have that. And I understand with a rookie quarterback and probably a bad Denver team this year, I understand that. But dude, you had a great first half. Add on to that in the second half. See what your guys can do. Put some trust in your offense a little bit. Right now you're looking at some of these teams in the AFC. I mean, maybe outside of looking at our defense, you think they're scared of this offense? Right now, not at all. You're telling me that they're going to go play some of these higher end AFC teams? Because that's the thing. If you have fans out there that don't have a problem with this, if you have fans out there that don't care that the Steelers are averaging 14 points a game, Okay, what happens when they lose 20-14? What happens then? What happens when they lose by 1 touchdown? It's not enough offense, right? So what's the excuse then? Oh, you got to see a defensive game. There's no excuse at that point. You need to score points. You need to put together productive drives. You need to put together complete games. That's what everybody was complaining about last year, was that there's no complete games, right? It's a 1-quarter ball game. That's what it was. That's what it was. That's what fans were complaining about all last year. We're watching a 1-quarter football game. We need to start seeing more, dude. We need to start seeing more. There's some talent on this offense. Go get another wide receiver, but we need to start seeing more. Exactly. Blair says the same thing. It's not entertaining football. It's not. It's not. Yeah, we're winning. That's great. But are you satisfied? Do you feel fulfilled? Yeah, right. There you go, Daniel. You talk about that on your other channel.
That was hilarious, JJ52. Thank you so much for that. So, yeah, no, I agree with you, man. You know, the offense needs to open it up.
Look at the Titans game we went to last year.
No, I know. That one was like another one. But, you know, again, maybe perhaps last year they saw what they saw in Kenny Pickett and used the same game plan. Like, hey, we got to treat him like a backup quarterback. And I think that's what's pretty much going on here. Until we see Russ, we're not going to see the real thing. Maybe they open it up a little bit more, especially in the first half, maybe give him an opportunity. But then again, going up against a defense like the Chargers defense, I just see this team going super conservative, especially if their defense is playing well. And if they're not playing if they're not playing Justin Herbert, or if he's being very limited with what he's able to do because of the ankle, I can see this being a very, very, typical Steelers game. And so, let's get into some scores, man. I think, my prediction for this is that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to end up winning this game 19-12.
God. Don't even crack 20 points.
No, I can't, man. Until they show it, I can't say that they do it.
No, I mean, I'm with you, but I'm saying, like, it's just awful. I mean, it really is. All right.
Read off some of these, and then we'll get yours.
Yeah. Reaper says 23-13 Steelers. I'd be more than happy with that. At least there'd be some production on offense there. Offense comes alive, 28-17. Man, dude, if they come alive like that, I think Fields is playing week 4, bro.
Afton comes in 13-12. Can you imagine a 13-12 game?
I'm going to bed. Honestly, just going to bed. I think the same. VA, it's like he wants Fields to take it, but he hasn't just yet. I mean, that's possible too. Tomlin's playing a little bit of hardball, maybe, and just really want Fields to possibly just really come out of his shell. Fat Joe says 16-12 Steelers.
Fordman Tommy says 20-13.
There you go.
Valley Ford 24.
No Chargers picks yet.
Actually, I did see one. I saw one. Malibu 28-13 Bolts. Want to see the Steelers win, but they don't need Herbert
not
to
good
score,
enough,
as you've seen with the O-line and running.
Yeah, not good enough, guys. 6-3 Steelers. Man, I would rather see that than see 13-12.
Yeah.
I would rather see 6-3. I really would. 30-17 Steelers. Obviously, that'd be incredible. Yeah, thank you, Afton. I appreciate it. Yeah, you guys can follow me at In Hindsight. Daniel and I have our podcast going on both channels. I am going to pick the Chargers to win this game, Daniel.
Damn. Hopefully
I'm going to pick the Chargers to win this game. Reason why is I respect Jim Harbaugh a lot. I think that he's a great football coach. Chargers have a healthy defense right now, which they haven't really been able to have the last few years or so. They don't really have that huge playmaker on offense anymore right now, but they've been putting together some pretty competent offense, respectable offense. They're not playing scared like the Steelers are. So I'm going to pick the Chargers to win. I don't think that they're going to light us up or anything, but I'm looking maybe at 21-17.
I can see that happening.
Yeah. 21-17 Chargers. There we go. That's what we'll go with.
I will say this, for those that are wondering, when Nathan has chosen the Steelers or against the Steelers, and I have chosen the Steelers, I think we've won every time. I think when we both chosen against them, it's when it's not worked out.
We're just keeping. We just want to go. We want to go 3-0, guys. We want to go 3-0. Yeah, Russ, what's up, man? Appreciate you being here, brother.
Concepts, X Concepts once says 21-18 Steelers.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's a respectable game too. I could see that.
Yeah, I would enjoy that kind of game if they can hit 20 points. And that's such a low bar. But to see the Steelers hit 20 points and it be a couple of TDs worth, one more field goal against the Falcons, that would have been 21, and nobody would have known the difference.
Yeah, that's what I mean. No, JJ's saying he's kidding. I figured you were kidding. Chargers win 2012. Okay, so JJ's picking Chargers. Brian, you know us better here, man. You know this isn't a Charger channel, bro. I'm just not going to pick the Steelers to win every game. That's all it is. That's all it is. I'm not going to pick them to win every game. They can win Sunday. They definitely can. I mean, if I was going to pick them to win, I'd probably pick the same score, 21-17, or well, maybe not that actually. If I pick the Steelers to win, I'd maybe say like 17-14, maybe. If I would pick the Steelers going to win, but I don't know. Listen, I'm just respecting what the Chargers have done the first two games. That's all it is. I'm respecting what they've done. Herbert's been all right. Dobbins has ran the ball really well. Johnson had a really good game. And their defense is healthy, man. Bosa, Mack, Derwin James, freaking Asante Samuel. I mean, like, they have a healthy defense, guys. I don't know what else to tell you. Steelers defense has obviously been phenomenal, but listen, if they're just going to play one half of offense, then, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Hopefully they clean up the penalties, but I really just want to see them open up the playbook a little bit more. I want to see them be a little bit more balanced, both halves. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, I'm choosing the Steelers, like I said earlier, and I think it was 19-12 is what I said.
19-12. I said Chargers 21-17. But listen, if Steelers start 3-0, that'd be great because it rarely ever happens. So
you know it.
Yeah, but guys, each and every one of you, thank you all for tuning in. Daniel and I are going to end there with our predictions, breaking down some of that Denver game, transitioning into the game on Sunday. But thank you guys all. I mean, man, we've had a good bunch here, so it's good to see returning people. It's good to see some new faces, it seems like, or at least maybe that are maybe familiar with Daniel's channel, not my channel. So I appreciate you guys. You guys know where to follow Daniel. If you haven't, at State of the Steelers, you guys can follow me at In Hindsight as well. Daniel and I, for anybody new, we will be breaking down Steeler content, Steeler game, and their future games each week, usually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whichever works out. So make sure you guys are subscribed, have your notifications on so you guys can be aware when we're going live. And then you guys can be here, put your thoughts in there, interact with us because we appreciate your guys' opinions and comments as well. Might not always agree, might agree. That's completely okay. We're all on the same team at the end of the day. Brian says 32-23 Steelers breakout. Dude, if they hit 30 points, I mean, I might not go to bed that night. So we'll see what happens. Changing my score. Russ says 31-13. That would be absolutely beautiful. I think we all could kick back, crack open a nice cold one and just enjoy the rest of the day. But at the end of the day, guys, we'll probably end up being yelling at the TVs, sweating our minds out, stressing out, getting pissed off, and that's probably how we'll end it. So usually, if the Steelers win or not, I think we all have the same reaction. Afton, appreciate it. Concepts, appreciate it. But so we'll see you guys next week. Like I said, hit the notifications so you guys can be aware. But thank you all for being here. Always good seeing you guys. And hopefully the Steelers will start 3-0 on Sunday. We'll see you guys later on.